Hi everyone, welcome to another video. My name is Olivia, and for those of you who are new here, I'm a freelance artist and illustrator living in England, and on this channel I would like to help you develop your art skills and to gain confidence in yourself as an artist and find your own voice, as well as sharing with you my experiences of making art and illustration and storytelling. And I also just want to share with you my journey as I continue to grow and become a better artist and illustrator. This is just a great space where I'd like to create a community of people who can come together and we can all learn and improve as a collective. So with that out of the way, let's get started with today's video. Today we're going to be talking about something that I think everybody has or will experience multiple times throughout their lives, and that is negative self-talk and criticism of your creative passion, and how it can kind of get in the way sometimes of you really going 100% into something that you want to explore and get better at or pursue as a career. And we're just going to be talking about some mindset shifts that we can put in place to help us be a bit more confident in our work and to just really start thinking a bit more about how we can own the day and make the most of really trying to pursue getting better at these things that we're passionate about, and letting go of that resistance a little bit in the moments where it's trying to really hold us back. So I've experienced resistance a lot in my life. I think everybody does, and I think it's something that not everyone is aware of how they can overcome it, and sometimes it can become something that really can disable your ability to actually pursue a creative passion that you really want to get good at and develop. So, you know, I do, for those of you who don't really know, I have a passion for doing obviously art and illustration as my main gig, but I also love singing and playing ukulele and doing filmmaking and stuff. And there's a lot of creative passions within my life that I pursue simultaneously, and depending on the headspace that I'm in, my success in those things really varies. And, you know, particularly when it comes to things that you're just starting out, I think a lot of the time when you're learning anything new, like any passion that you're pursuing, it's really a case of learning to just be okay with being a bit uncomfortable. And I think resistance is kind of that feeling of, you know, it's going to be a bit tricky, and you know that you want to go and sit down and paint, or you want to sit down and work on your business, or you want to sit down and play ukulele, or whatever your thing is, and you just don't. Like, you have this little voice inside of your head that tries to make you feel like maybe it's a waste of time, or you come up with excuses, or you procrastinate, and you find a lot of reasons to not actually pursue that thing. And to be honest, every single time you do that, you really are not going to be improving because you're not doing anything. And I think one of the best ways to overcome resistance and negative self-talk about your passion is just to sit down and do it. Like, even if you really don't feel like it's going to be easy, and you know it's not going to be super comfortable, then you're not going to be doing something that you can do with your eyes closed without any effort. You're going to be improving by sitting down and doing that thing. I really do believe that life begins at the edge of your comfort zone, and as soon as you start getting more comfortable with being uncomfortable, then you can get a little bit better at overcoming resistance and sitting down and just doing something. The next thing that I think is really important to help you overcome negative self-talk is to give yourself a schedule. I think a lot of the time, the reason that we get really good at doing things when we're doing them for clubs or at school or as part of like an activity that you're doing with a group of people is because there's a schedule in place. You go and you do that schedule, and you know every Tuesday at 1 o'clock you're going to be, I don't know, playing rugby or painting or whatever it is that you do. I think it's important that you actually hold yourself accountable and you make a schedule. I have a schedule every single day for the things that I'm going to be working on when it comes to either developing my business or working on client work or painting something new that I've never tried before, or maybe just sitting down and painting elements of things so I can try and improve my skills at like painting trees or painting rocks. And it's not always comfortable, but because I've got a schedule, even though I might be having a bit of resistance in that day, like, oh, I don't feel like doing it today, or, you know, I'll come up with a million excuses of other things I should be doing, I still just say, okay, I have a schedule, this is on my checklist of things that I need to do today, and when I tick that thing off, it makes me feel really good that I've done something for myself. And I find that every time you tick something off that list, Even if you have a list of 5 things you want to do in that day and you only get 3 things done out of that list, I think it's still really great that you've still done something on that list. Like, that's more than you would have done if you didn't have the list. You probably would have found ways to procrastinate if you didn't have that schedule in place that's trying to make you feel more accountable for the things that you say you're going to do, which is a really important part of overcoming resistance, because I think there's a natural part of your brain that just, it's trying to keep you safe by holding you back from doing hard work. It's trying to make sure that you're going to be as safe as possible, doing the least amount of stuff and exerting the least amount of energy. Your brain is going to naturally try and go into that mode where it's trying to protect you, and that kind of comes out as resistance. It's trying to hold you back from doing these things that, you know, subconsciously maybe you're a bit stressed out about because you don't think you're as good as you should be or whatever. Third point is to let go of expectations of yourself. So by this I mean, you shouldn't expect yourself to be at a level that you're not at yet. Like, I mean, if you've just started learning how to paint landscapes, you shouldn't be expecting yourself to be painting like the guys that you're watching on YouTube who are teaching you how to paint landscapes. You should be expecting yourself to be at a beginner level and to take your time and to just really give yourself a little bit of breathing room to actually get to that point that you want to get at. So let go of the expectations and just do the practice of creating artwork because you love it and because you're enjoying that moment and you just want to get better at it. And I think when you go and you go into it with, like, yes, you have a schedule that you're going to sit down and do X amount today, but you don't have an expectation of how amazing it has to be. Like, sometimes I sit down and I paint and the stuff that I paint is just absolutely crap, to be honest. I mean, I've done paintings where I have an idea in my mind of something that I kind of want to do, but then I'm just not really in the zone that day, and I'll sit down and I'll do a bit of painting and it doesn't really turn out the way that I thought it would. But I think it's important to let go of that expectation of, like, every single thing that you do has to be beautiful and perfect and refined. Sometimes you're just going to make something and it's not going to be your best, but you're going to learn something from it. Every time you have an expectation of what you think you should be doing and, you know, who you think you should paint like and what colours you think you should be using and what kind of stuff you should be painting, what subject matter you should be doing, like, having these expectations of yourself, you're not going to enjoy the practice because you're going to be focusing too much on what you should do or what you should do, and not enough on what you actually feel like doing in that moment and how you're just going to let yourself learn and be free with it. Because I think when you're going in with expectation of it being like this super perfect thing, you don't really give yourself room to experiment and to try new things and to just let yourself fail sometimes. Point number 4 is to be okay with failure and start really getting into failure, because every time you fail, you are learning something that you can then bring to the next time that you try that exact same task, and it will be more successful. An anecdote that I always really like to use for this is that Dyson, the guy who made the Dyson Hoover, which is like revolutionary, he went through, I think, 5,000 different iterations before he got to his final effective product that actually worked, that he could take onto the market and he could patent. 5,000. That is a lot. Take that in for a minute. Like, someone tried to make the same thing 5,000 times before he got it right. And yeah, he's really successful now, but how much failure has he experienced before he's gotten to this point of having so much success? Every single artist that you see, every single creative that you see, you know, not just artists, but guitarists, singers, dancers, actors, like football players, every single person who has a skill that they're really good at and that they're really passionate about, that they can pursue as a side hobby or a career or maybe like a little side hustle that they might make a bit of money out of. All those people who are really amazing at the things that they do have failed a lot of times. They failed again and again and again. And the key is not to be afraid of failing, but to just be aware of the fact that every time you fail, there is an opportunity to learn. Every single time you fail, there is a little nugget of education within every single failure that you can learn from and you can take to the next experience. Then you're going to be much more successful, and it's also really going to grow your confidence because you're not going to be afraid to fail. So you're not going to be afraid to try new things and experiment, because you know that when you try new things, it's not going to end up with a disaster. It's just going to be like, okay, cool, I fell down, I grazed my knee a bit, I'm just going to get back up and just carry on walking. Truly failing, like really, really failing and never succeeding in the things that you want to succeed in, is falling down and messing something up and then just never getting back up again. It's, oh, I had a bad experience, I painted one bad painting, so I'm never going to try again now. Or, you know, I've been trying to play guitar for 3 weeks and it's just still not getting easier, so I'm just going to give up now. Thinking like that and letting yourself just give up, that is the true failure. And that's the point where you're never going to get good at the things you want to get good at because you're not doing them. So I think if you're not afraid of failure, it's really beneficial because you're going to keep on coming back and showing up for yourself and trying to get better at this thing that you're trying to get good at and really improving your practice. So I think if you can actually get yourself to the point where you can be really comfortable with failure, you're going to see a massive amount of growth in your success in your creative endeavors because you're just going to be trying new stuff all the time. Number 5 is to have self-compassion. And I think this one's really important for those of you who know me personally. I'm really into my yoga and my meditation, and I think mindfulness within your development of your skills and your passions that you're pursuing is really important. I think having self-compassion is super, super key because you have to remember to be kind to yourself. Like, you're not going to be the most amazing artists in the world after just painting for a couple of years. Like, it's going to take you a really long time. I mean, if you've never been painting before and you've just started painting now properly, like, people who are really good, it's taken them like decades to get to the point they're at now. People who are at that skill level where they can just create anything out of their imagination and it just fabricates perfectly, and they're perfect with perspective and depth and lighting and values and everything. When people get to that point, these people have been practicing every single day for decades, and they've really given their time and energy to showing up every single day or every single week or a couple times a week and just sitting down and really practicing their craft and really letting themselves just be really bad for a long time before they get good, and just seeing progress coming slowly. I think it's really important to have self-compassion and understanding and like recognize where you're at right now. Like, you're just starting your journey, maybe you're halfway through your journey, maybe you're really experienced, maybe you have an expertise in one particular thing, maybe you're really great at painting animals but you've never really tried painting people before or landscapes, and you have to give yourself the compassion that it's going to take you time to get to that point where you can be as good at this new thing as you are at something that you've been doing for a really long time. It's something that takes a long time to get used to, but I think every time you hear these negative thoughts coming up in your mind that are criticizing you and making you feel like for whatever reason what you're doing isn't good enough, I think it's so important just to come back to your breath and just say to yourself, like, actually no, I'm just starting, I'm just trying, I'm gonna be compassionate with myself, like be kind to yourself, and just remember that you are in the beginning of your journey, and the process of creating work and getting good at something is supposed to be just as much fun as actually getting good at it. And even when you're really good at it, you can still improve. So I think just be kind to yourself. Remember that, like, there's no point in comparing yourself to other people and comparing yourself to what you think you should be doing right now and what level you think you should be at. I think it's important to just be nice to yourself and remember, like, you are trying your best, and the fact that you're even showing up and you're doing this thing every single day, even if it's not always perfect, even if it's kind of ugly, even if you don't know what you're doing, even though the structure is kind of in the work in progress, it's fine because you're showing up and you're doing it, and you're doing it because you enjoy learning. And I think being kind with the way you speak to yourself about your development is so key, because when you're being really critical of yourself, it's going to stop you from really letting your creativity flourish, because you're so busy talking badly to yourself about how you're not good enough and how it's not how it should be, or comparing yourself to other people, that it kind of paralyzes you. And I've definitely experienced that in my life, where I'll look at someone's artwork on Instagram or something and they are well ahead of me in my path, and there's always this little voice that comes up that's like, oh my god, they're amazing. Are you ever going to be that good? Can you ever be that good? Like, everybody experiences thoughts like that, and it's completely human to be self-critical and to question yourself. But just remember that, like, you are not your thoughts. You are the listener of your thoughts, and you can choose whether or not you're going to listen to those negative thoughts, and you can accept that they are there, but then say, okay, well, I'm also going to bring in this thought of gratitude. Like, thank you that I am actually taking time to get good at this thing. Remember that you are new at this, you are learning, you are on your own path, and it's not fair on yourself to be comparing your path to someone else's path, because your journey and your style are going to come in their own time. And if you really do stick at it and you keep coming back every single day and showing up for yourself, you're going to get really good. And you're not going to get really good in the way that I'm good, or the way that someone else that you're watching is good, or the way that people in your class maybe are really good. You're going to get good in a way that is unique to you. And I think when you can be self-compassionate, you can understand that that journey is a process that you're going through, and that you don't have to be really harsh to yourself. The sixth and final point is to enjoy the journey and celebrate the small wins. This is super, super important. As you're going through your journey of developing your creative passions and developing your skills and pursuing the things that you love, the bar that you're setting for yourself that you need to be reaching to hit the next stage of development is going to be constantly going up and up and up, and you're going to continue seeing growth all of the time. I think sometimes it's good to take a step back and observe where you've come from, and just think, like, from the first moment you picked up a pen or a paintbrush or an Apple pencil, look at how far you've come. Look at the skills that you've developed already. Even if you've only been sketching for a week, if you've been sketching every single day for a week, look at how much easier it is for you to do the shapes that you've been sketching now compared to when you just started. And just think about how incredible it is that the effort that you're putting in is already paying off in a small way, maybe in a big way. For me, I had milestones where when I first started really taking myself seriously as an artist, and I stopped just doing art for fun, and I started really actually trying to say, okay, I am an artist, I'm going to pursue this as a real creative, and I'm going to take myself seriously as a businesswoman and start having a bit more of a plan. The first client that I ever got, like, I was still new, I still was figuring things out, I definitely undercharged for what I did, but it was the small win of taking back a moment, being like, whoa, somebody wants to pay me to do work for them. Like, this is the first time that's happened. And now, you know, you fast forward a few years later and even more progress is being made past that point. And when you can sit down and look at yourself and the progress that you've made, and you can say, wow, like, the journey that I've gone through has been really fun. I've enjoyed every moment, and I've lived presently through the experimentation and development of myself and my skill. But look how far I've come. Like, this is amazing. I have gone from absolutely nothing, picking up a pen and having no clue what I was doing with it, to now being able to create a whole painting from my imagination. And being able to get to that point is amazing. And yes, even when you get to that point, there's going to be more things that you want to get good at. You're going to continue developing your skills and getting better and improving, but it's important to appreciate the fact that the time that you're putting in is paying off, and really love that journey. Love the fact that you are always on a journey. When you can step back and you can really enjoy the fact that you've really come far, and you can celebrate the small wins, you know, maybe for the first time ever you painted a tree and it looked like a real tree and you were really proud of that. Celebrate that, pat yourself on the back, tell yourself well done for putting in the effort that you could get to that point where you can paint something that you could never paint before. And again, I think this appreciation of the small wins and really just enjoying the moment and the journey is the really important part of how you're going to get good at your craft, because you're not doing everything because you want some gratification in the future that you're waiting for, but instead you're just enjoying the moment of developing your skills and getting better each and every day. And before you know it, you're just seeing results coming into your life because you're really enjoying that journey. And even when you're seeing the results, you're still enjoying what you're doing so much that the future results are just going to keep coming through, but you're not desperately waiting for those things, because you're living as presently as possible through that process, and you're allowing yourself to have appreciation for right now. What have you got? Like, be grateful for the position that you're in right now, even if you haven't even picked up a pencil yet and you've just been watching videos and you're toying with the idea. Well done for sitting down and watching this video and starting to really get to the point where you are trying to overcome your resistance and develop your skill. This is also a really big step. Now, the next step is just to go away and actually start applying these things and start practicing the thing that you're curious to get good at, and just celebrate the fact that you are here and that you have this experience and that you are able to actually learn these skills that you're interested in, and the fact that you are going to see development if you keep coming back every single day and showing up for yourself. So yeah, enjoy the journey. It's really, really important. So those are my 6 tips for developing self-confidence and overcoming resistance and negative self-talk when you are developing a creative passion. And I think there are so many more things that we can talk about here which can really help us to overcome resistance, and I think it's such a big topic in itself. So I will definitely be making future videos going more into this subject, and you know, if you guys would like that, please do leave a comment below. But also, I'd like to know, comment on the section below, what is it that you guys like doing to help yourself overcome resistance? Do you experience resistance? And if so, what is the thing that gives you the most resistance, and how have you been trying to overcome that? Leave a comment in the sections below, let me know. I'd love to hear what you guys are going through and maybe get some new ideas from you as well for how I can work on resistance in my own life. And for those of you who are feeling ready to develop your skills as an artist or illustrator and are feeling ready to start overcoming some resistance, I recommend that you click the video that's on screen right now and watch that video, because I think it's going to be really helpful for you to start building some good habits into the next steps of your growth. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next week. Bye!